Welcome to all one of you to the SergInLA Show. This episode, I'll be discussing the Super Bowl halftime performance shows, and then at the end, I'll give you a ranking based off of all of them together. Luckily, if you want to go and watch all of them, well, I don't know about all of them, but I went back as far as 1999 up until the present, which is 2021, and then we just had Super Bowl 56 with Dr. Dre, who brought out Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, 50 Cent, Mary J. Blige. He had Anderson .Paak also on the drums, and it was a pretty good show. It was really good. I was dancing the entire time. My 2-year-old was dancing as well. He didn't know what he was dancing to, but he loved the beat and the good energy. But anyway, so I decided to watch all of them, and they're on YouTube. That's what I was going to say. They're all on YouTube. You can find them, like you can find a playlist and just watch them all together, which is what I did. It took about, I want to say, 2.5 hours, maybe, just like the length of a longer movie. And yeah, then I'm now going to give you my list of each one, the breakdown, and the ranking, followed by grinds my gears. So I started in 1999, and let's just say it was trash. Stuff was all over the place. Clearly, there was no real direction, and the direction I guess they tried to have was a theme, and that theme was Charlie Brown. So in the 1990s, it was Charlie Brown was huge, still kind of huge, but only for like the Christmas and Halloween and Thanksgiving shows. But Charlie Brown in general was like the thing as far as family cartoons at the time. So, but anyway, as far as the halftime show for the Super Bowl, trash. 0 out of 10. And there's only 2 0 out of 10s, and this is definitely one of them. Moving on to 1991, it was a little bit better, but it was still trash. Just a better smelling trash. So this year, it was Disney themed. It was very clear that it was Disney themed, with Disney being Disney, having like Goofy and Daisy and Donald running all over the place, and Mickey, and of course. But it was a little better. I basically gave them 2 points more because of the state we were in 1991, and that was war. So we were at war, and then they had a tribute to the troops video with President Bush, and I believe his wife as well, Barbara. And there was a little kid who, I don't know, he had to be at least probably like 8 years old, maybe 8 years old, and he had a solo like in the middle of the field, and he sang. He was nervous, but why? I mean, more power to him. He did. I felt like he did great, but I wouldn't be able to have done that as an 8-year-old. Also, they ended with New Kids on the Block. It was just very patriotic, but I guess that's what they needed in the time that they were in. I say they, but that we were in. But I gave it a 2 out of 10. It wasn't anything special. It was just like Unity themed. 1992. 1992 was worse than 1991. It was like a winter wonderland theme. I would say it was equivalent to what Disney wanted the year prior to be. However, no Disney logos or anything. So just think Disney on Ice without the Disney logos everywhere. It was Winter Wonderland. It's very generic, very boring, which leads to 1993. I feel like whoever was in charge, they either got fired, or they knew that they needed a new direction, and they needed like a headliner. They needed like a rock star. They needed a pop star. They needed someone to come in and draw the audience into the halftime of the Super Bowl, because everyone's watching the Super Bowl. It's always been like that, but what do you do at halftime? You to go bathroom break and eat, and you go grill and have fun and play out in the yard and all that stuff. Because um, the halftime shows have been pretty abysmal up until this point. So who better? There's none better, especially in 1993, than the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson. So Michael Jackson, at this point, he had already solidified his career, and everyone knows who he is at the time. He was that dude. So Michael Jackson went on and he put on the show of a lifetime. Uh, but he didn't. So my issue with this Super Bowl halftime show is Michael Jackson. The Michael Jackson we all know is the Michael Jackson that puts on, vibrant energy. He dances like crazy. He'll put on a show. He's that guy. But I feel like we often put all of his concerts and tours and specials on TV and all that stuff. We bottle that up and then shake it around and then think that every performance is like that. But because that's what I thought when I went to 1993, and I was like, oh, this is the Michael Jackson one where he's about to put in work. I remember he stood there, and then after that, everyone was going crazy, and then after that, he like danced. So that only happened for about 3.5 minutes. So what happened was the first 30, 35 seconds or so, he stood there, which is fine because that's a Michael Jackson thing. And everyone went crazy. Then he moved to the side. Everyone went crazy. And then he put a slew of hits for about another 3 minutes. All of his hits. It was amazing. He moonwalked. He like put on the performance of a lifetime for 3 minutes. So after that, it got real boring. So he sung "We Are the World." Then he sung "Heal the World," which are unity songs. And I believe it's because we were still kind of in war, at war, I should say, and he just wanted everyone to be united. So that was like the purpose of what he was trying to do. But again, at the time, it's the best halftime show up until this point by default because it's Michael Jackson. But hindsight, looking back, it wasn't that good. If you take the first 4 minutes, then okay, great. But if you take anything after that, Super Bowl performances are normally between 12 minutes and about 15, 20 minutes, depending on what's going on in the time. So this one, I believe, was like 12, 13 minutes or something like that. And Michael Jackson did great for the first 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. 1994. Oh, I'm sorry. My rating was a 3 out of 10 for the concert, except for the fact that he had crowd participation. And I'm not talking about the fake crowd that's down on the field. I'm talking about the actual ticket purchasers, the actual fans of the game. They all participated by bringing up signs. I guess everyone had a sign on their seat. So they put up the sign, and then it basically gave you a beautiful visual of like kids holding their hands. You should really look at it. But it was 3 out of 10 plus the crowd participation is 5 out of 10. Which is by default the best one up until this point anyway. 1994, Clint Black, Travis Tritt, Tanya Tucker, Naomi Judd, and Wyona Judd. I feel like it was a good show. I'm so glad at this point, this is 2 years in a row, that they got rid of their themes. And it was just like a nice concert. There was no agenda. There was no, crazy speeches or anything or tribute videos. It was just like a regular good concert. Nothing special. I gave it a 5 out of 10. 1995, Patti LaBelle and Tony Bennett. So I love some Patti LaBelle as much as everyone else, I guess. This was terrible. This was terrible because Patti wasn't singing. Patti wasn't singing. Patti was screaming. she was screaming to where you know some of the songs, you know the hits, but if you didn't and you were watching it, you wouldn't know what the heck she's talking about. So it was all bad for her. And I guess it's probably like she didn't hear herself in the microphone, or the earphone or microphone they have in their the earplug or whatever. But it was just bad. I don't know. I'm trying to make up excuses for Patty, but it was bad. And then what made it worse was Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett came out with his swag that he normally has. I like to call it the Vegas swag, old school Vegas swag, where he comes up and with the slow songs and that vibe. But this man went up there, and I guess he's used to these smaller arenas, because coming out into the football field, this guy was messing up his lyrics. It was like he was jumbling along. It was too much going on for him, and that's saying a lot. And not only that, if you watch it, they pan down to the show at the bottom while they were singing, and apparently, because we wouldn't know this, but apparently there was Indiana Jones stuff was going on the bottom, like they were trying to reenact and I guess promote the Indiana Jones movie, and there was no like spotlight on it. So I would say it was the Indiana Jones theme, but I couldn't really tell you that if I wasn't watching it. 1996. 1996. 1996. Diana Ross. So this was by far, up until this point, the best Super Bowl halftime show of all time. Diana Ross came out in this with her rosy cheeks, that 90s makeup, a beautiful red dress, looking gorgeous, and she put on a show. She sang about 4, maybe 5 songs, some of her hits, and it was like energy was high, everyone was into it. And then after that, she had a costume change. I think she had like 3 different costume changes. I remember she went into like an orange and purple dress, and then she sang a song after that. And then she went into she put her golden robe on and sang "Ain't No Mountain High Enough." And I felt that song was okay, but I knew what she was saving that energy pretty much for what she did next. And what she did next made it like by far the best up until that point Super Bowl halftime show of all time. She put on like this purple dress, and then she bodied the song of "I Will Survive." And when she was singing "I Will Survive," I never thought I've seen this, because I don't remember this in real time. So, but my wife was actually there at this Super Bowl halftime show, so she actually knew exactly what I was talking about because she was there. But when she was singing "I Will Survive," she was like, "Oh, there goes my ride." And then you look up, the cameras look up, and there's a helicopter coming down on into the football field. And then when it sits, and then she's still singing, she gets on the helicopter, straps in, and then she's still singing, high energy. It's all great. It's like, oh my gosh, this is the best show so far. What is going on? I'm used to Charlie Brown and Disney and Michael Jackson standing and singing "We Are the World" and all this stuff. And then Diana Ross is giving us this. And then she's sitting on the airplane, and then she's lifting off, and then that was the end of the show. She ended off the show by departing in a helicopter away from the show. Mind-boggling. That was amazing. Amazing. So that I had to give a 9 out of 10. I didn't know what a 10 was out of 10 was yet, because we're in 1996. So I don't know, but that was by far, by 4 points, better than anything else I've seen. 1997 was the Blues Brothers. So, excuse me. One moment. The Blues Brothers, I've always been confused with the Blues Brothers, because I remember back in either 96, 7, or 98, I remember going to the Bakersfield Condors game which was a minor league hockey game in Bakersfield, where I'm from. And the Blues Brothers came out to perform after one of the periods. And, they rolled the carpet onto the ice and then they performed their jazz show or whatever. I was very confused because I was like, wait a minute, isn't that, I think, what was it, Jim Belushi or something like that? Like, don't know, watch this guy on a TV show on ABC or something like what is going on? Is this a serious group or is this just a group of guys having fun playing jazz? So I actually had that same feeling during the 1997 Super Bowl halftime show. It felt like it was comedy, but at the same time they were singing real songs. So it's like, oh, okay, I don't know how to really feel about this, but overall it was an okay show. Nothing special. It was a huge drop from Diana Ross in 1996. So in 1997, 4 out of 10 Blues Brothers. 1998. Oh boy. The Motown theme. So with Motown, they had the Temptations, Smokey Robinson, Martha Reeves, Queen Latifah, Boys to Men, and like the local college marching band. I want to say like GSU or something like that, but I'm not sure. It was solid. My only issue here was, if you're going to say Motown theme, I was hoping it would be like all of the, I don't know who exactly was alive and who wasn't in 1998, but I would rather have all the like originals, Motown originals, instead of having like Queen Latifah come and Boys to Men. As much as I love Boys to Men, I mean, who doesn't love Boys to Men? But you got to have like more of the originals of Motown singing their songs and stuff. But other than that, I mean, it was a solid show. It was a 6 out of 10. So that's up until that point, it's the second best show. Then we go on to 1997. In 97, you had Big Bad Voodoo Daddy and his band, and Stevie Wonder, and Gloria Estefan. So you had a little bit jazzy, soul, swing, salsa. It was nice. I liked it a lot. Up until this point, I would say up until this point, it's now the second best, and it just beat the Motown from the year prior. So it's on the up and come up. It's on the up and coming. But there was one cringeworthy point that I didn't really like, and that was when Savion Glover, or is it Savion Glover, the tap dance guy, with the wild hair. He was putting in work at that time, and I remember he was really big in the late '90s. He was really big. He was on like Regis and Kathy Lee and Regis and Kathy Lee and all those shows, and like just showcasing his craft. But the cringe-worthy moment was like when Stevie Wonder, because they rehearsed this stuff, so they should have had it more precise. When Stevie Wonder was playing his piano, he done playing his piano, he got up, he was walking over to the board to tap dance with Savion Glover. But my issue was they showed him like not really know where the board was to go. So for those of you that don't know, Stevie Wonder he's blind. He's been blind all his life. I always get him and Ray Charles mixed up because I think Ray Charles was blind most of his life, like after he was like a preteen, and then he became blind. But Stevie Wonder, it was awkward for me to watch on national television at the time, Stevie Wonder trying to find his way to the board to do that. And then someone eventually helped him, but that was like later on. It was like, come on, man, like you should know. It should be more clear, is all I'm saying. I don't know. So I gave that a 7.5 out of 10. So as of this point, that's the second best. Gloria Estefan put in work. She did what she always does. So I think she really, helped it a lot. 2000. You just had to be there. Like, you just had to be there to know the vibe of 2000. It was like a millennium vibe. That whole 1999, 2000, Y2K, Y2J, Disney's Fantasia 2000, that was like an era. And that era within itself it was very awkward. If you weren't there to experience it, ask somebody who was there, and like some people would say they thought the world was going to end. Technology at the time was supposed to like shut down because they didn't know how to go from 1999 to 2000. And it was a lot. People were stocking up. I remember uh, my grandma having like cabinets and cabinets and cabinets full of canned goods because the world was going to end. Like it was a crazy time. Um, and they had the right people to be on the Super Bowl halftime show at this time, and that was Christina Aguilera, Enrique Iglesias, Tony Braxton, and Phil Collins. So it makes sense at the time because those were the stars. Those were like your pop stars, and those are the stars that aren't going to shake it up for anybody. Nobody's going to be mad at Christina Aguilera, Tony Braxton, Enrique Iglesias, and Phil Collins. And especially like to this day, I heard Phil Collins' voice, and I was like, wow, I still enjoy this man's voice. I believe he did the movie. What movie was that back in the day? Like Tarzan or something like that. And I just love the dude's voice. It's very like soothing. But it was a great show for that time. So I had to give it a 5 or a 6. I put 5, but 5 or 6. It was nothing special. It was just a sign of the time show, really. 2001, NSYNC and Aerosmith. So let me just start off by saying NSYNC and Aerosmith, they can and they should have put together their own show, because with Aerosmith, you have a bunch of hits. With NSYNC, you have a bunch of hits. And then with NSYNC, you also have the individual artists that are within NSYNC that have like their own songs at the time. This is 2001. So I believe like Justin Timberlake is just trying to like branch out. Lance Bass is doing his thing. So it's like they can put on their own show. So with NSYNC and Aerosmith, it was great. But I have one issue, and that issue is Aerosmith is singing Walk This Way at the end. This is at the end of the show. And the show was amazing until this. Britney Spears came out, and I'm not talking about Britney Spears. I'm talking about prime Britney Spears. Comes out, she sings one verse, and then she moves to the side. Like she's an afterthought. She's an extra. And then Nelly, we're talking not necessarily Hot in Her Nelly, Air Force One Nelly, because he's not there yet. He's just coming out. I think he was just singing like what the song Underlay, Mama E-I-E-I-O or something like that. His Country Grammar. There you go. His Country Grammar Nelly, which is new Nelly. He comes out, he raps one verse. Some people don't even know who he is. And if they did, it's only because of the little band-aid that he has on his cheek. And so he does his one verse, he goes, and then Mary J. Blige, I don't know why she was there, but Mary J. Blige comes out, she does the same thing. She does like one verse, and then she moves to the side, and then, you know, they wrapped up. That was pretty much the show. I thought that was unnecessary. I thought prime Britney Spears, new Nelly, and Mary J. Blige, like it made no sense for them to be on this show. They kind of like undermine the show. They dropped the rating really because NSYNC and Aerosmith put on a great show. So it could have passed Diana Ross in my opinion up until this point, but because of the 3 extras, you know, it's 8.5 is what I gave it. And I also wanted to say Britney Spears and Nelly they could have had their own show the next year. So in like 2002, you could have had Britney Spears do most of it. And then, well, really Britney Spears can do it all by herself, but you could do Britney Spears and then Nelly do his Country Grammar stuff and his new album coming up. which there are songs that we all like from that as well. But it was unnecessary for up and coming stars like that. 2002. So I decided not to rate 2002's. This is the only one I didn't rate, and that's because it's kind of the same thing as the 1991, 1992 Super Bowl shows, and that's because unfortunately we were attacked on September 11th, 2001. So up from that time, and I would say at least a year, we've seen everything was basically catered towards like united we stand, divided we fall. We should be united as a country. So that Super Bowl halftime show, I believe, was like 5 months after the attack. Um, so YouTube performed. It was a pretty good show, and I don't know. You just had to be there for the moment. It was a tribute show, and then there was one super sad thing that I saw, and that was they had while YouTube was performing, they had the list of all the names of the affected and the deceased, I should say, from the September 11th attacks. That was like really sad when you see the names, because it's one thing to say a number like, oh, X amount of people have passed from this, like, okay, that's a lot of people. But when you see a list of the names, and it was on like a drop down menu, and it just kept going, and they had it categorized as well, like these were the people from the fire department, these are the people from this police department, these are the people that were in Tower 1, these are the people that were in Tower 2, like that was really sad. So I didn't give it a ranking. I would say they did what they needed to do at the time. It wasn't really supposed to be like, hey, let's rock out. It was like, hey, let's remember. 2003. Shania Twain and No Doubt. So let me just preface by saying this is preteen at this point in time. This is like preteen, early teenager surge in LA. And I've always liked me some Gwen Stefani. So my comments here, I put yes, yes, yes. You can't go wrong with Gwen Stefani and Shania Twain, especially when Gwen Stefani has her stomach out because she has those washboard abs. And Shania Twain had like these long boots and a trench coat. It was amazing. It was already like 10 out of 10 just because of that. Tom Dumont killed it on the guitar during Just a Girl, the song Just a Girl. Sting came out as a special guest, and then he started performing. So I was like, okay, man, maybe I can go use the bathroom now. Sting is out here. I'm not necessarily a Sting fan, but I also don't know Sting songs. I know he's this popular guy, but I'm just not into him. But Gwen Stefani then came out and started singing and dancing with Sting. So I had to stay, and I watched it, and I was like all excited and all into it. I'm just trying to say, Shania Twain and No Doubt, 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. So now we're now establishing like our top 3, top 4. Like we're doing well. It's been 13 years now of Super Bowl halftime shows, and it's looking real good. Like it's getting better and better and better. 2004. Now, hear me out. Before you judge me, hear what I have to say. Because it's very controversial. The I Love the Way You Move, the Big Boy Atlanta song. I love the way you move with Sleepy Brown. So that comes on being played by a band, like the marching band, the local marching band. I want to say like Atlanta A&T, but that's from the movie Drumline. P. Diddy comes out. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped something. So the band played I Love the Way You Move. Janet Jackson, because she's the headliner, she comes out. She dances and sings All For You in a nice leather outfit. P. Diddy comes out. Now, I'm not a fan of P. Diddy's rapping, but I am a fan of P Diddy's hype. He can hype you up. He's like he's what DJ Khaled is now, but back in the day. So P Diddy came out, he did his thing, and then Nelly came. See, this is now the time for Nelly. Nelly came. He's saying "Hot in Her." Dancers was going crazy. Dancers took their skirts off, but no one talks about that. And then P Diddy came on again, and then what hyped me up the most was after P Diddy came off the second time, Kid Rock came on. Kid Rock came up, hyped the place like he normally does, like he always does. And then Janet came back with Rhythm Nation. And at this point, this is by far the best Super Bowl halftime show of all time. Like, it's not even close. It's not. Kid Rock rocked it out. P. Diddy hyped us up before that. Nelly sang "Hot in Her." Janet Jackson's doing her thing. Like, this is great. So now Justin Timberlake comes and he sings his song "Rock Your Body." And Justin Timberlake is now like officially not with NSYNC. So he's like doing his own thing as a solo artist. Rock Your Body is actually a pretty good song. It's a fun song, I should say. And then Justin Timberlake says at the end of the song, he says, "I'm going to have you naked by the end of this song," which is lyrics from that song. And then he pulls, because he's standing next to Janet Jackson, he pulls her breastplate off. And then she's now exposed. One breast is exposed. So that's now the controversy. I will just say this. Janet Jackson's face, because I watched it like 3 times. Now, it's not on some perverted stuff, because on YouTube you can watch it, but it's blurred. So it's not like you're watching what we saw live, because I was there. I saw it live. But like the look on on Janet Jackson's face when she looked down, it was like, did this guy really just pull this off? And if you look at it, she was so distraught. That made me so sad, because I know what was going to follow for the next 20 years, really. 20 years. Well, we're 18 years now, so about 18 years. And that was like nothing really good for her career. So I would just say this. Justin Timberlake is the one who pulled it. He's the one. She was standing there. It's not like she turned to him. No, she was standing here. He was standing there. He did this. He reached over and got it. So all the energy, all the blame went to her. Justin didn't say a thing. And that made me so mad. I was mad as a little teenager, because as a teenager, I was excited to see it. And then I was, at the same time, I was like, okay, like life goes on. That was a fun thing. It's a boob. Like it's cool. Like, great. I mean, like what else are you supposed to do? Like, there's nothing. Okay, great. But society like trashed Janet Jackson forever. And she lost like sponsorships, endorsements. She lost like everything. So poor Janet Jackson. It's all Justin Timberlake's fault. And and they wanted to call it a wardrobe malfunction. It wasn't a wardrobe malfunction, because that's the same leather outfit that she was with like P Diddy and stuff in. Like, she was in that outfit the whole time. She wasn't Diana Ross. She didn't change outfits. She's been in that outfit. So I think that was BS. And I didn't. And my thoughts were, Justin Timberlake shouldn't be banned from all only talking about Super Bowl halftime shows. I do like Justin Timberlake's music, especially as he got older, but I feel like the blame went to the wrong person, and I guess that's how life is these days. You just blame the woman for just standing there, but the man is the guy the man is the one that actually did it. So poor Janet. But this show is the reason why I blame how the next 6 shows went. And this is going to be really fast. In 2005, I'm sorry, my ranking for 2004 was a 9.5, because the actual show was like amazing. 2005, Paul McCartney, blah performance. All he did was just sit there and sing. It was boring. Like we reverted back to like 1994, 1995 or something, because like he was just sitting there singing. It was real boring. 2006, 3 out of 5. Rolling Stones, another blah performance. I guess they were able to like now walk around and sing, but they couldn't like rock out, get the crowd involved, go crazy. I feel like, and it's not Paul McCartney's fault for 2005. It's not um, Rolling Stone's fault for 2006. I just feel like they were under a lot of restraint because of 2004. And then 2007, Prince. So like I already feel a certain way about Prince that I just don't like Prince for other reasons. I just feel like it's weird, but a lot of people love. I would say a lot more people love Prince than they dislike him, which is fine. But he didn't do anything like special to me. It was a 2 out of 10. Like it was really a 2 out of 10. Because again, we're talking about Super Bowl halftime shows. Keep me interested. Keep me involved. 2008, 2009, 2008 was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. 2009 was Bruce Springsteen, and 2010 was The Who. I gave all three of those a 3 out of 10. Those are all 3 out of 10s. They didn't do much. The Who was better than Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and Bruce Springsteen because they have a song called Baba O'Reilly, and I like that song a lot. But other than that, like it was not newsworthy at all. 2011, the I can't even talk anymore. The Black Eyed Peas / and Usher performed. First of all, shout out to Fergie's Boots in that 2011 set. Usher came down from like the rafters. It was a okay performance. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Nothing really special. But we're now seeing that we can put on a performance now. So this is like the first real performance since 2004. So 6 out of 10. 2012, Madonna, and again, shout out to Madonna's boots. I guess I love like boots, huh? Women's boots on women, I should say. Madonna's boots. But the reason why this one was a good show was not because of Madonna. Madonna had a great entrance. Madonna had great boots. But other than that, it was because of all of her special guests. She had a guy like flying on the like a bouncy wire. She had LMFAO, who was big at the time, like party rock guys. She had MIA, and she also had Nicki Minaj. And those were the reasons why Madonna's thing was good. Like Madonna's songs, they were okay. It was like whatever. But I'm trying to tell you, LMFAO, Nicki Minaj, and MIA, they were great. Then you go on to 2013. Now you have something going. Beyonce. Beyonce came out and showed us how the Super Bowl halftime performances should be. She gave us the standard. Beyonce came out and put in work. You want to talk about a show where a headliner can do it by themselves? Beyonce showed you that she can do it by herself. And then she brought out Destiny's Child for a couple songs, which is great for nostalgia, which I say nostalgia, that's probably like what, 10 years maybe, 10, 11 years that we've seen Destiny's Child on like big shows, big performances and stuff. But yeah, that was a 10 out of 10. That was a 10 on the 10. Watch that show. 2013. Watch that halftime show. And I'm not even like a Beehive, is it Bayhive or Beehive member. Like I just love the performance and I love the show. So that went on to 2014 with Bruno Mars, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I love this performance. It was fun, it was vibrant, had me on my feet. I was all into it. Now this is because remember I'm watching all these together. So this is like a breath of fresh air now because I was going to sleep from 2005 on to 2011. I was getting real sleepy. So when these performances started kicking off, it was great. Shout out to Bruno and Red Hot Chili Peppers. I give them an 8 out of 10. 2015, Katy Perry. Now, I love me some Katy Perry. I love the songs. I feel like she's always vibrant, fun, creative. So I had high expectations for this show. Have you seen Katy Perry's music videos? So I expect it to be to watch a music video. I wanted the whole stadium, the whole field to be like a music video because of her creativity. Now, I will say I didn't even factor in the fact that Katy Perry can't dance. She has all this dancing music, this fun, whatever music, but she can't dance. So when this show happened and she came on this little dinosaur thing, okay, that was cool. That's like what I expect. But as she's singing her song, she's just like, she's not doing much because she can't dance. And then I remember she tried to dance and she's like, doing the little two-step. And it's like, dang, all right, this is not good because I just got through watching Bruno Mars. I just got through watching Beyonce and Destiny's Child. So I've just seen all these dancers. So like now it's Katy Perry. You're like, and I went in with high expectations. So like it's not good now. But to her credit, she brought out Lenny Kravitz. Lenny Kravitz did what he normally does. And Missy Elliott. I thought that was random, but I know Missy Elliott produces a lot of people's songs and tracks and records and stuff. So they probably have like a relationship that way. But Missy Elliott came and did her thing, and it was cool. I like me some Missy Elliott. So 3 out of 5 though, Katie. I'm sorry, 3 out of 5. It was, but I think that's mainly because of the expectations that I had going into that show. And moving on, 2016, we had Coldplay. So Coldplay, then Bruno Mars, and then Beyonce. All I have to say is, excuse me, this was the best mix, the best collage. You had like 3 different entities from 3 different worlds coming together, and they did it perfectly. It was like this, perfect. They also did a tribute song at the end, and that was cool. And I feel like I'm missing. So like during the show, and they did it well. They showed it well. Like Bruno Mars and his people versus Beyonce and her people, and how they had like a dance battle. Coldplay rocking out in the back. Like it was amazing. I gave that a 10 out of 10. 2017, Lady Gaga. Solid performance for her. This is some dancing, floating, piano playing, etc. This is what you expect from Lady Gaga. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. I thought it was okay. Excuse me, I had to yawn. The family dog is back there sleeping, so he's making me sleepy. Let's see. 2018, Justin Timberlake is back, guys. Justin Timberlake is back. I don't know how he managed this, but Justin Timberlake and the Tennessee Kids, which is like his band, if you will, especially for like the album that he was putting out at the time. I'm just gonna read my notes. My notes say bull crap that they would even let this man perform for the 3rd time at a Super Bowl halftime. And the nerve of him to perform Rock Your Body again and stop at that last line made me even more mad. So I was very mad because of, like I said, in the 2004 performance, like it was his fault and he got little to no blame. And for him to be able to do this um, show again, but like as the headliner, like I didn't like that at all because I felt like he should have been banned from Super Bowl halftime shows um, going forward after 2004. And that when he did Rock Your Body, it's like he's kind of like making fun of what happened, which is not okay because Janet Jackson wasn't there. So if Janet Jackson was there on stage and like they were doing like a hey, a refurbished version, like hey, we're over this, y'all need to be over this too type thing, and then like that would have been cool because like okay, you guys are united, you guys are good, but Janet Jackson wasn't there. We haven't heard from as far as um, Super Bowl halftime shows. We haven't heard from Janet up until this point, still to this day. But I just felt like I didn't like it. It's bad taste in my mouth. So I gave it a 2 out of 10. And I love Justin Timberlake and his music, but it's just that. It's just no. 2019, Maroon 5 headliner, Travis Scott. And also Big Boy, because Big Boy, I believe, is in Atlanta again. I guess that's the only reason why you would have Big Boy. Otherwise, not Outkast. I'm talking about Big Boy all by himself. So you can't go wrong with this. Adam Levine put on the show like I wouldn't even say like he normally does. I would say that he actually upped his game. And Adam Levine put in work. I wasn't mad at all. I enjoyed the entire show. And yeah, that's all I have to say. It was an 8 out of 10. It was solid. It could have been if Big Boy wasn't there and Travis Scott did another song or Maroon 5 did another song, it could be a 9. But Big Boy was there. So it was, Big Boy. Unfortunately for Big Boy, and this has to do with his career for people that are not from the South, so if you're from Atlanta or anywhere in that area, then like you probably feel a different way. You should feel a different way about Big Boy. But everyone else, we enjoy Big Boy. We love Outkast. The issue with Big Boy is we know that he's the brother that we don't want to deal with. We want to deal with Andre 3000. We want to deal with Andre 3 Stacks. We want him. So when we get Big Boy all by ourselves, we're disappointed. We're just disappointed. And that's not knocking Big Boy. That's just saying, hey, we all love Andre 3000. And Andre 3000 does it on purpose. He kind of has that Kendrick Lamar thing to where when you pop up here and there, then your name will always be mentioned among the greats. But when you're there all the time, then it's like, okay, this person is like flattened out. So anyway, 2020, Shakira, J-Lo, Bad Bunny, and J Balvin. So much like the NSYNC Aerosmith year, first of all, I'm glad that they finally gave us some Latin action because we haven't had Latin action since 2000 with Enrique Iglesias and Christina Aguilera. And then also the year prior to that, Gloria Estefan in 1999. So it's been 20 years in Super Bowl halftime shows where we haven't had any Latin flavor. So, and then you give us J-Lo and Shakira. That's great. Like, thank you. So I wanted them to kind of do the show all by themselves and obviously bring out whoever they wanted to. But not who they did. They brought out J Balvin for a song and Bad Bunny for a song. I felt like that was unnecessary. Yes, those are the up and coming rappers at the time, but it was kind of unnecessary. J-Lo's daughter also performed a song. I thought that was unnecessary too, but I get it. If you're in that position and your seed wants to do something, and say if she wants to be a singer or something, like you put her on a platform so she can have that opportunity to get her name out as an individual and all that stuff. So I get it. I'm not knocking her daughter for anything, but J Balvin and Bad Bunny kind of demeaned, kind of like Big Boy in 2019. They kind of like lowered it a little bit, but not that much. So it was an 8.5 out of 10 for me. It was 8.5. I enjoyed it. 2001, The Weeknd. So here's the issue that, and my wife also agrees with me on this, is the issue with The Weeknd is you can put on any of his music and vibe out to it. You can chill with it, but it's not concert worthy. It's not. So when The Weeknd is out here singing in these arenas or award shows, like, it's not good. It doesn't sound good. It's trash. It's pretty much trash. And I think this maybe has to do with like his voice or his vibe, but it's not good for bigger venues. You know, and not everyone can do bigger venues. He also had like a robotic choir that freaked me out. And then he had a golden room that was full of dudes that he was bouncing around in, and that wasn't for me at all. I felt very awkward just watching that. So I gave that a 1 out of 10. So that was definitely a 1 out of 10. And then 2022, you had Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, Mary J. Blige, special guest 50 Cent. And I'm not going to rank it until it's at least a year ahead. So like I won't rank it until next year because it has to like sit. I want it to sit on me. I want to watch it again and like look at everything. I want to look at the set. They were talking about on the radio, because I'm in LA, so they were talking about all the different places they had. Like the city of LA was on this set, and I didn't really pay attention to that in real time because I was too busy dancing and rapping and with my son and my wife. So I'll definitely have to watch that again before I can rank that. The one thing I will say, and Anderson .Paak on the drums. The one thing I will say is I wish the game, Jayceon Taylor, the game, I wish he was a part of that, because that would have, it would have been that much better. It would have been that much better. I don't know why, but you know, with 50 Cent being there, even though I believe they reconciled their differences, but I don't know about the game's relationship with Dr. Dre right now. But anyway, so that rounds it out, and I'll give you the top 9, if you will. The top 9. At number 9, you have Bruno Mars, 2014. Number 8, Shania Twain and No Doubt, 2003. Number 7, Maroon 5, 2019. Number 6, Shakira and J-Lo, 2020. Number 5, Aerosmith and NSYNC, 2001. Number 4, Diana Ross, 1996. Number 3, 2004, Janet Jackson. Number 2, 2013, Beyonce. Number 1, 2016, Coldplay. So those are the top 9 Super Bowl halftime shows of all time. And now it's time to get into my favorite segment of Grinds My Gears. You know what grinds my gears? What grinds my gears is the fact that old heads can't accept the fact that the GOAT meaning the greatest of all time, can't be overtaken from that spot. So when you have this person and you're like, oh my goodness, this person's the GOAT. And then you have another person who's obviously going to be younger. They're going to get to that level. They're going to do everything that this person did and surpass them. And then the old heads still say, well, this person did it first. This person's always going to be my GOAT. There's nothing that this person can do, even though they've done it already, even though they've shown and proved themselves to be the GOAT, the new GOAT. There's nothing that this person can do to overtake this person. That makes no sense whatsoever to me. It's okay to have a new GOAT. That's how you get better competition. It's okay. And I'm not even talking about just sports. I'm talking everything. Music, sports, everything. Literature, everything. There's a GOAT in everything. If you're competitive, there's a GOAT in everything. The greatest of all time can be overtaken. So you have to get your biases out when you're determining a GOAT. The nostalgia factor, like what I was talking about with the Michael Jackson concert. The nostalgia factor, when you blend in everything and you have nothing but like highlights of the GOATs, you have to remember, like, let me go back and actually watch a game. Let me stop watching highlights and watch a game and see what happened during this game. See what happened during that game or this series. Which actually, I know what I'm going to do for episode 2. I know what I'm going to do for episode 2 because I have the data. I have the content. So I'm going to prove it to you, whether you want to listen to it or not. It's factual information. Not just media hype. Not just location-based theory. And I didn't know that was a thing until I moved to Colorado. I went to Colorado and then all of a sudden you're watching Colorado TV and the Denver Nuggets are like the greatest thing on earth since sliced bread and they do nothing wrong. And I was like, oh, okay, it's starting to make sense now. Now I see why there are so many Nuggets fans. I moved to LA and then the Lakers are the greatest thing since, sliced bread. It's like, oh, okay. And they can do nothing wrong. And they weren't even in the playoffs. So it's like, okay, I see now why localized teams have so many blind fans, really. But anyway, that's what grinds my gears. Is people who think their GOAT can't be overtaken by someone else. All right. Thank you for watching episode 1 of the SergInLA Show. Have a good day.